There's the big other you know, the big other of what's known, the classic Lacanian big other symbolized by capital A. But there's also the big other you don't know, the big other you can't know, because it's the non-existent big other of the big other you know. The big other which is no such thing and which we symbolize with a barred capital A. So when Lacan says again and again, even in this chapter of Seminar 20, that there is no big other of the big other, it's these two big others that he has in mind. The one you know and the one you don't, because you can't, because that shit don't exist. There's, in other words, what he defines here as the locus in which everything that can be articulated on the basis of the signifier comes to be inscribed. Here, that great definition of the big other again. We write it with a capital A. And then there's the impossibility, check it out, of any other locus of signifying articulation in which to inscribe this first locus. We write that impossibility as barred capital A. And we signify this impossible big other of the big other in the only place we can, in that locus of signifying articulation beyond which there is no other, namely in that big capital A. When Lacan repeatedly insists that women have a relation to the signifier of the barred other, he means that their contingent enjoyment within the phallic field functions as a signifier of the fact that there is no other field in which to enjoy, an impossible no other field that they nevertheless have access to, but know nothing about, except that they have access to it. Notice how squirrely this gets. That twist is the crucial part here. It's the key to understanding all of this, it seems to me. Just as mystics enjoy saying they experience another mode of enjoyment that cannot be known, and in so doing producing signifiers of this unknowable other enjoyment, the part of feminine enjoyment that contingently pops up in the phallic field always, to some extent, delights in referring to the part which doesn't, because it cannot pop up in the phallic field. And thus, relative to this field, remains existent, insisting there by way of contingent enjoyment, but always from without, as impossible enjoyment. Let me be clear, if possible, here. Enjoyment beyond the phallic function may be impossible, but this doesn't make it inaccessible. And it may be unknowable, but this doesn't mean it's unsayable. Note, I'm not telling you it can be said. I'm telling you that we can say this about it. Enjoyment beyond the phallic function cannot be and cannot be known because it cannot be said. That is what I'm saying to you. I can say as much. You can say as much, just as I'm doing right now, and just as I hope you also will from here on out. In Lacanian psychoanalysis, more than any other applied conceptual system, I'm wagering here, we learn to say the impossible and to enjoy doing so. Encore.